We live.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Love and Marriage Podcast. I'm your host, Wendy O, and I'm with my amazing co-host, Hotep Jesus. How are you doing tonight, Hotep?
Oh, we back, man. It feels good to be back.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. COVID had me down, and then my face swelling is almost all the way down from getting my wisdom tooth pulled. So life is getting back to normal for me, and I'm getting back into a routine. I've added some great things to my routine. So life is good, man. How you been?
I'm good. I have a question though before I tell, because I have like so many updates I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you get your wisdom teeth pulled at your old young age?
Because it was hurting.
It was?
Yeah, like my wisdom teeth came in late, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
like I have three more that still have yet to fully come in. They're coming in at an angle. Yeah. So one of them, like I could like the gum over the tooth. I was like playing with it with my
Oh yeah,
tongue.
no, no.
Yeah. And then it's like it just like this pain hit for like a few days. So like when the pain got unbearable, I just made an appointment for an extraction, and then the pain went away. So I just kept the extraction appointment, and then they were in there drilling and pulling and drilling and pulling, and eventually he got everything out. So now it's just like now I just have to deal with pain three times a day.
It'll go away though. It'll go away.
How long? I mean, it's been a week since my surgery, and I'm
A month.
still it's gonna take a month of pain.
I mean, you have to think of it this way. They cut a part of your body open. Your mouth is actually very sensitive. There's a lot of nerves there. So anytime, that's why mouth pain could be debilitating. So I would say if it's still hurting after a month or 2 to 3 weeks, I'd probably call
Okay.
the guy. But I mean, after a week, you have to remember, like, it's a very sensitive part of your body.
Yeah. Okay. So at least I know there's nothing alarming by the fact that I'm
No,
still feeling pain.
no, no.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. So, oh my God, where should I start? There's been a lot of stuff that happened.
Yeah. Update me.
So, okay, because we have a lot of really cool topics that we kind of put on hold.
Hmm.
Thanksgiving was an absolute success at the house. My mom's so funny. She came over. She brought the lasagna, and I made her make a video to saying about how you don't use Parmesan cheese, you use Romano Pecorino. And she was like, "I'm going to send it to you. It's fucking hilarious.
Okay.
It's like really hilarious." But this weekend, I went to Galaverse.
What the hell is that?
It is a cryptocurrency, and it was a very intimate private event. This
Hmm.
company, they're doing absolutely amazing things. Like they partner with Call of Duty, they partnered with The Walking Dead. They have like real working games that are like functionable.
Mm-hmm.
You want to hear all the musicians that I saw within a 48, actually like a 24-hour time period.
Yeah.
I saw Maroon 5, I saw Kings of Leon, I saw Arcade Fire, which I didn't like them.
These
I
people were at
saw
the event.
they were playing. I was
Oh
in the front
wow.
row. Hold
Oh
on,
wow.
I'm not done. I'm not done. I saw Stone Temple Pilots, Billy Idol, um, Alice Cooper, and Snoop Dogg.
What?
Mm-hmm.
They hired all these people to play there?
Yep,
Big budget.
it was $15 million event.
Big budget. Wow.
I'm pretty sure they made it back because they were offering like discounts and special like things to buy land and like within their metaverse, because everything's like pretty much everything is fully functioning that they do. Like they're doing a bunch of beta testing that for some of the newer games that's running out, but their games and their ecosystem is amazing. So some of the properties in the metaverse are like $100,000, $1 million, like crazy stuff. So I'm sure they made their money back, but it
Mm.
was just real. I've never been to a production that big in crypto. Like most of these conferences, like most of these people hosting these events are scrubs. They don't know what they're doing. I had a guy reach out to me the other day. He's like, "Oh, we want you to promote our event." And I've promoted the event before in the past.
Mm.
And he's like, "Well, I'll give you," he didn't even offer me a ticket. He's like, "I want you to shill our tickets
Mm.
and he'll give you 15% commission." I'm like, and that's only like $100. I'm like, I'm not going to shill your tickets because I don't really believe to have a conference price that high. And I says, "Okay, well, the way I do things now is you need to book me to speak."
Yeah.
And he said, and I says, he's like, "Yeah, we'll have you speak." And I was like, "Well, I need a contract." He's like, "We don't do contracts." And I was like, "Goodbye."
Yeah, because then he got you chilling and he
No, I'm
ends
not
up
doing,
having you
no, no.
speaking in the bathroom.
I'm not doing, no, I don't do that anymore. I don't have time because I've been traveling like crazy lately. And it's like, I miss my baby. I don't get to see her. So it's like, if I'm going to go, it needs to be worth my while. I need to be getting paid, or I need to be doing something like nice to help other people. And that's not helping other people. That's just lining their pockets.
Yeah, it's
But
like one of
anyways,
these event people asked me to. They were like, "Yeah, we'll have Hotep speak. Maybe he can do the Black Outreach speak." And I'm like, "What? Okay, so you're gonna just make me the token Negro of the event? No, thank you. Fuck you. You're not about to play me like that. Not after I wrote a whole book on the history of money. You're not about to play me like that."
who was this? Was it a or
Bitcoin
crypto
magazine.
thing? Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, throw the nigger in the nigger room. Let the nigger talk to the niggas." Like I'm not eligible to talk to white people too. Yeah, that's the thing. When you're black, they just want to use you for the diversity thing. Same thing with the Republican conservative thing. It's like, hey, there's some black issues going on. Black Lives Matter. There's something. Call the black guy to talk about it. And it's just like, why don't you call me to talk about economics and policy and you know what I'm saying, instead of all the race topics. It's frustrating at times, but it is what it is.
So fucking insulting. Well, I get invited to be the token woman.
Well, that's not too bad. Being a token woman's great.
No, it's not great.
Why not? You get to talk to the same audience.
I want to not be okay. Just like you don't want to be classified as
no,
X.
they want me to talk on a specific topic for a specific
They want me to
audience.
talk about women in crypto and diversity in crypto.
Oh, yeah,
I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about, I'll talk about the underdogs. I'll talk about the group of people that I come around, which is a very, very diverse group of people. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and talk about women in crypto. Yes, I do get a lot of crap online. People say really terrible, like half of my comments are about my looks. It's never about like what intellectually what I'm saying. And I'm better, just as good as half the guys. But I'm over it. I don't want to.
Yeah. The diversity hire.
I'm not.
It's a very liberal thing to do.
Well, they want to make sure everybody's feelings matter, and it's also good for brand. The thing is it's good for marketing. It's good for marketing and brand recognition, but the point is they don't know how to word it correctly. If they wanted to do it correctly, then they would ask them to come and still speak about things that are relevant to them. Like they would have asked you to actually speak about economics. They would ask me to actually speak about content creation, about education, about all of that type of stuff, but they don't want to do that. They just want to be like, you're a woman and you're this and da da da.
Yeah, the bullshit. Anyway, let's get into tonight's topics.
One more thing that relates to tonight's topic.
Okay, what's that?
My daughter's school, they closed down for this entire month.
Why?
Because of the panorama. Apparently one kid got in, some other kids got it. My kid didn't get it. So they closed it down. My poor baby, her recital, her Christmas recital was supposed to be tonight, and she's been practicing day and night, and they canceled it. They're moving it to next month.
Oh, poor Lo.
So sad. I'm like, it's really bothering me.
Oh.
And I was talking to Nita about it, and she was saying that because of the panorama and the quarantine and everything, that is actually like for children, it's actually pushing them back like years and years developmentally and emotionally.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sad.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Anyways, what's the first topic?
I don't know. You tell me. You got a whole bunch in the DMs.
Yeah, because it's been a minute. Okay. So the first topic is,
I see you got Mr. Coop on your back.
Who is that?
He's a manosphere guy. He's one of the, alpha.
He's an
You
idiot.
know what I mean? Yeah.
He's an idiot though.
Why? And first of all, let's read the exchange here. So December 3rd, Wendy tweets out, "If your man doesn't have your car detailed and fresh flowers waiting for you at home, when you are gone via business, then he is not your man. Women, I want a strong man that I can admire and look up to. Also women," as he points to your tweet. Then you responded, "Man, all the alpha and strength roar. Also man, reads random tweet from a woman they know nothing about and emotions rage. Bless up, bro."
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dissect that tweet and let's talk about it. Should I give you all the details about what inspired that tweet?
Yeah, give me the full one.
All right. So I tweeted this because I was out on business and I come home and my husband had detailed my car and he brought he didn't even detail the car. He paid somebody to detail the car and he brought fresh flowers. He gets me flowers all the time because that's his love language. That's what he likes to do. Also note that, we had childcare. So I think one of the grandmas was watching the kid, and also note that he drives my car and he doesn't want to be in a dirty car. He didn't detail it for me. He detailed it for him.
Wow. So Rich Cooper here thought you was complaining.
I wasn't complaining. I think
saying,
that's awesome.
you were saying, hey, this awesome thing happened to me, ladies. This should happen to you too. And it's just a tweet, right? There's nothing, to look into, right? Too far. Here's the thing about these manosphere guys. Their grift is complaining about women, right? I don't even know how they claim the whole alpha situation thing, because complaining about women seems very beta to me. But that's what they do. They find something online that women have done or women are doing or said, and then they respond to it, right? And then all the guys are like, oh, look at this lady, look at this chick. And it's just like, it's gay. I find it to be very homosexual behavior. I'm just being honest. The shit corny to me. Like, maybe because I'm from Jersey and we built a little bit different. Like, we not built to be like concerned with women and what they do. You know what I'm saying? It's just like we kind of focused on what we doing and like, whether it's sports or the kids or taking care of your chicken. Like, that's kind of like what we focused on. And then women are sort of like in the background nagging in your ear and you're like, yeah, whatever, right? But that's these guys' grift, is to find something online that, they can basically throw to their wolves, right? Because he's the alpha, so this is the wolf pack, and they throw it to the wolves and they all sit around and they laugh about it. It's just corny to me as someone who spends his time talking to influential people, getting their thoughts on life, somebody who studies chess, somebody who reads avidly, somebody who's a Miller writing 2 books, somebody who has a daily newsletter talking about how to make yourself better. Everything else I find to be a distraction, and a lot of this stuff helped me level up after I had COVID. But it seems like all this stuff, like when I had COVID a couple of weeks back, part of my healing process was like not even going near my phone, right? I wasn't answering text messages. So I wasn't on social media. So when you come back and you look at it different. And what I saw was a group of people I didn't want to be associated with. I wanted to disassociate myself. I wanted to put myself in a different category of people. I don't want to be viewed as somebody who waits for something to react to, right? So, for example, in this case, the alphas or whatever they call themselves are looking for material to react to instead of being proactive and putting out content that's proactive. Hey, here's something you can do. And maybe they do a lot of that, but I don't want to do anything reactive, right? The media has some distraction and now we got to talk about that, right? It's like, no, like the biggest problem, let's just say in America, are distractions. And every time the media says something or does something or a celebrity farts, there's a million people to sniff their ass and tweet about it. Like, oh, this shit smells like roses. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just always somebody to talk about it. And it's like, what are we collectively as a people talking about? Are we talking about fucking bullshit? Or are we talking about elevating the species? So if the conversation isn't about elevating the species, at my age, I'm really just not interested in having that conversation.
I agree. No, I agree a lot. And I feel like you said it yourself, men don't have time to be happy. If men don't have time to be happy, they don't have time to react to things that are just so minuscule. I put out vague tweets all the time because I don't like people knowing my personal business.
Right.
But It's like, to me also, I'm also the type of person, like, I've been through so much, I've seen so much. I don't want to judge somebody, because you always, one of the things that always was very interesting to me, like, you hear about entrepreneurs that become successful and they're like, oh, well, I did X, Y, and Z, but they don't talk to you about really that particular moment or that particular shift that really pushed them into being successful. And I always feel like there's a missing piece, or anybody, when they give a story how they came from rags to riches, there's always that missing piece that they're not giving. And I don't know if it's just me that sees this, but I look at people, I'm like, okay, so you became successful, but you did X, Y, and Z, and then you're successful. It doesn't work that way. There's so much that gets left out. And the reason why I brought that up, and the reason why that piece of information is so important, is because when you're reading something or when you're talking to somebody, just because they say X, or just because they tell you something, they're lip servicing you, you don't know what's going on in their head. You don't know what's happened to them in the past. You don't know their life story. So therefore, if you're judging them, you're judging them on a misconception that's not really valid. So to me, I don't like to judge people. Like, if somebody's like an actual POS, like does something bad, okay. But if someone just puts out something like stupid, I'm not going to react to it, because it's just not worth my time, because I don't know about all the different things.
Right. No, I totally agree. You know, that's the thing about tweets. Sometimes you don't know the full context of things. And then here you go, hopping in, looking like an idiot, you know, when you don't know the full context of things. I was talking about this other day, how some people are unwittingly, willingly ignorant. You know, I put out a tweet. This is a relationship show, so this is relevant. I put out a tweet and said, life for men is like chess. Never be afraid to lose your queen. So obviously all the, you know, fake chess players, new chess players, people who don't avidly play chess like myself, like I avidly play chess, said, oh, well, the queen's the most important piece on the board. She, you know, if you lose her, you lose the game. And I'm like, all right, you obviously don't play chess, because even Bobby Fischer talks about this. Learn how to play without your queen. Right? That's how you get better. But also, if you're afraid to lose your queen, you'll never consider the move where the queen sacrifice wins checkmate in 2 or 3 or 4 or 7. So you have to consider sacrificing the queen in some move in order to win the game. So it went over people's heads. But the funny thing is it's like they volunteered to show me how stupid they are. And it's just like, okay, thank you. Chad Lemoyne, $4.99 super chat, said, laugh my ass on Wendy torched old boy, not a Jersey thing. That shit is gay. Right, for real. It's definitely gay. Incidentally, shout out to Ashley AG Shorty, made the HJ email. Yeah, thank you, Chad, for sending me that. That was great ammo. Appreciate you, homie. What else are we talking about tonight?
Well, I want to talk about chess a bit for 1 second.
Okay,
because that's important. Well, also too, like, I used to play chess growing up. Like, that was how I would keep myself entertained when I was staying at my dad's.
Oh, wow.
But chess is I was playing at like 7 to like 12. But
okay.
Chess is, when you look at chess, the main purpose is to keep the king, because that's how you win the game. Right. So if you have to sacrifice a queen in order to keep the king, that's okay. And the reason why that's okay is because a strong woman and a confident woman understands that even though if she's not, that her role is not only to support her man, but how you're supporting your man is by sometimes sacrifice. So if you are being sacrificed in order for your man to thrive, to take care of the household, the home, like whatever it is. And I'm just talking metaphorically about different things.
I love that.
But that is how empires sustain. There have been so many men throughout history that will crash and destroy entire empires over women. And I understand it. It's very romantic, but at the same time, when you are in a position of power and you have a whole nation or a whole team or a whole something, you can't save everybody all the time. As much as I want to save everybody, like I'll leave if it was me, get rid of me, help, that's fine with me. But at the same time, like if you're a powerful leader, you need to understand that, you need to step back, you need to be on the side, whatever it is to thrive. And a lot of people don't understand that. And it's generally something that is between those partners, the couple, that there's a mutual understanding.
Shout out to Silver Sky in the chat. Yeah, the other thing is, just because you sacrifice your queen don't mean you can't turn a pawn into one.
I mean, you did.
Right? You lose your queen, but that pawn can get promoted to a queen. So,
Then you
do
get
we
it
really
back.
play chess?
That's crazy. Well, that just goes to prove my point because I get, especially with all the crazy stuff that's happening with Congress right now. Mm-hmm. And the Fed, people are not. There's people that agree with Mr. Powell and what they're doing, and they're just not understanding how detrimental this is.
Is this about the debt ceiling?
No, that was with Biden, but apparently Powell came out today, and what did he say? He said something, and I was just laughing.
Who's Powell now?
The guy from the Fed.
Is he the chairman? Is he the new chairman?
I think so. Who is he? Where is he? Where is it? I can't see it. He's basically talking about interest, that inflation is transitory and all of those silly things. Oh, this guy's the
new chair? Oh, okay. So
yeah,
he's
Powell,
the new, he's the new dummy they sent to represent them. Okay.
Yeah. Right. And so people are arguing and they're saying he's doing a great job, that inflation is okay, that we have to do this. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, it don't make sense. Like, I understand that in some cases there's debt, there's inflation, et cetera. There's things like that in order to thrive. But when it's at the level that we're at today, I don't think that it's sustainable. I don't think it's healthy. And I think that it's like ready to implode at any, I feel like that's the bubble, not Bitcoin.
I see something else here. It says Powell says he doesn't see cryptocurrencies as as a financial stability concern. That's kind of good news. It seems like he has a hands-off approach. So he said something about, you said inflation. Inflation's okay.
Yeah, they think that it's okay, that it's necessary. Well, because they initially said that it's transitory, and then that they came back and they said that the economic something. I don't have an article in front of me. I'm tired. I've been up since 3. But he said something about the type of inflation we're experiencing is not something that they planned. But it just kind of happened. Something along those lines.
It's not something they planned. I got a presentation coming out tomorrow.
Okay.
My book, where is it? The Patriot Report, somewhere around here, goes into the history of money, right? And I have a presentation queued up. And we're going to talk about this. Tomorrow's presentation is pre-Civil War inflation.
Okay. No, it's important. You should sit down with Crypto Jeb. He's a young man from Tennessee. He's so smart. Okay. He's very smart. He's very well spoken. Mm-hmm. And he's very he just, maybe I should get you guys on so we could talk about money on a Friday one day. Yeah. But I think it would be an excellent conversation because he's well versed and you're well versed, and it would just be very interesting to kind of see if there is any type of synergy as far as like different beliefs. I think would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm totally down.
All right, I'm going to set that up because I was on with him today earlier, and it was a good thing. All right, the next thing, let's talk about being emotionally relevant. Mm-hmm. So let me go ahead and pull this particular tweet up.
Emotionally relevant.
Yeah. So this was actually by, hold up. 48 Laws of Power bot tweeted this. Be emotionally relevant. Understand her core values. What does she value more than anything else in the world? What is personally meaningful and important to her? Communicate those values back in her conversation.
Oh, yes, that's true. My probation officer taught me that. Yeah, that works. That actually works.
Wait, what?
So my probation officer said, if you want somebody to think that you're listening, just repeat back what they said to them.
That's very interesting advice from a probation officer.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't belong there. I wasn't
right.
It was I was surrounded by junkies and drug dealers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, the probation officer sort of understood I was different from everybody else. So we'd have very interesting conversations when everybody left. Very intellectual conversations, and she would drop gems on me, little gems like that.
How old were you?
Maybe 19 or 20.
Okay, that's very interesting. That's a very interesting dynamic. Yeah. I agree with that. I feel like that is very important too. People, what I'm noticing with people are very emotionally immature. Mm-hmm. Most people do not know how to think on their own. And this is both men and women, and they tend to follow the herd. They follow the herd because it makes them feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. Because if they go against the herd or they go against the grain, then they start to get uncomfortable, and nobody wants to feel uncomfortable.
Correct.
And it's actually kind of detrimental to their being. Like, they think that they're these woke, intelligent, smart individuals. But when you kind of look at it, you're really not. Because if you're attacking somebody or you're following the herd because you want to fit in or because you're too unintelligent to think for yourself, then I don't want to be associated with you.
Oh, absolutely. That goes behind the Solomon Asch psychology experiment, where they take a bunch of people, they put them in a room, and they ask them a question, and the majority of the people in the room give the wrong answer to a very obvious question, and so they're the control. So the person that's the subject gives the wrong answer also, because they don't want to go against the group, even though they know the right answer is something different. That's a Solomon Asch experiment. Peer pressure, will fall under that. But groupthink, right? It's prevalent in our society. It's the reason why we are subjected to such communist policies. New York lockdowns, Philly lockdowns, LA lockdowns, or Cali lockdowns, et cetera, because people don't want to challenge the popular narrative, even though they understand something's different. What was I going to say after that? Solomon Asch experiment. Damn, I lost my train of thought. I had something else I was going to come behind that with. It'll come back to me.
Do you think that's the reason why people treat, like, in relationships?
Oh, I know what I was going to say. In Spanish, pastor means shepherd, right? When I first saw that, when I first made that connection, I forget where it was. Pastor means shepherd. I said, oh shit, he's leading the herd. He's leading the sheep.
That makes sense.
Right? So obviously, going based upon 5% nation ideology, we understand that the majority of people are dumb, deaf, and blind and need somebody to lead them. In a world where everyone's blind, one-eyed man is king. So people need leading. That's the first thing we understand. Like, people need leading.
Why? But why? Why? Let me rephrase this. Why? And I'm going to rephrase this from a woman's perspective. Mm-hmm. Why do I need to be led by any other man than my husband or by my partner?
So when you first asked me that question, the reason why I paused is because I'm thinking about now, and I'm thinking about the dawn of humanity. I'm thinking about antiquity. Why would we need leaders then? And then why do we need leaders now? And I think it comes down to the fact that some people are more advanced than others. There's always going to be an individual more advanced than the rest of the people. Maybe it's because of close proximity to a city, close proximity to information, whatever it may be. Some person discovers something before others do. So there is no equality amongst the human species. There's always going to be some sort of hierarchy. Also because leadership is very natural. Leadership is very necessary. Otherwise, you run into democracy issues where the mob rules. I've always said that dictatorships are better than democracies. What?
I want to talk about democracy a little bit because you said mob rules, and we're kind of seeing a mob rule occur now, and you see it on social media. You see seas of mobs, of people just and it's, some of the arguments aren't even logical. Like there's no sense to them. There's no common sense. And it's like, when, like, why has society, like, how has society lost its way, its common sense? Is this because of the destruction of the nuclear family? Because there's not a mother and a father in the house to balance the kids out, or because there's terrible things happening in the household? Like what happened to like basic common decency? And I feel like a lot of that does stem from the destruction of the nuclear family. Because, okay, for example, I'm just going to speak, this is going to be very vague. This is not going to have to do with race or anything like that. But like back in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, we saw people for the most part being polite. Like a man was polite to a woman, and a woman was polite, had a certain specific demeanor with a man. And I want to keep it between men and women. We saw that then. But in today's society, we don't see that. A woman is going to treat a man with disrespect, and a man's going to treat a woman with disrespect. There's no like social guidelines anymore. And I feel like it's more prevalent. Like we started seeing some of that in the early in the 90s, which, okay, that's fine. Cause there was a lot, like that's when divorces and single moms came up, but really in the 2000s, 2010s, but really like the last 5 years, it's just like, I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, holy crap, this is scary. Like there's not even basic, like, thank you. How was your day? You're welcome. There's not even that. Like I make it a point when I go into a restaurant, or if I go to wherever, the dollar store, Target, wherever, I try to make eye contact with the cashier. I just say, hi, how are you? Or even if I'm in the drive-thru, how is your day? Thank you. You're welcome. Like very, very kind, because I want to spread positivity, but it's like, I feel like these people, they get shit on like all day by other people. They take that animosity, that hatred home with them. They take it out on their kids. I've caught myself like, losing it because I've been so stressed out, at home in the household. I know it's wrong. It's something that I'm working on. Yeah. I've done it a couple of times. I'm not perfect. I'm a human being,
right? But
at the same time, it's like you take that home, and you take it on your family. So it's like it just animosity. It's a perpetual cycle of hatred that we're seeing, and I don't know if it starts in society or it started in the household. It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
I know the cause. What? Jabari Allen, $5 super chat. He said, just checked in with a notification. Good to see you guys together again at work, but love seeing Wendy O show featuring Hotep Jesus. What up, Jabari? Jabari's a good guy. He always supports. Comes down to programming. So, for example, I remember one of my homies came to me and was complaining about his relationship with his woman. And I asked him one question. I said, does she watch Love and Hip Hop? He was like, yeah. She watched all them shows. What's the one where they say they're married but they're not? Housewives of East Bumblefoot.
Yeah, Real Housewives and Mob Wives.
Yeah.
I used to watch all that stuff because it was so entertaining, but it's really bad. Let me tell you something. Once I got pregnant, I stopped watching all that stuff because I didn't want my daughter to hear it.
Yeah. So I asked him, and he came back to me. I want to say sometime later. I don't know how much time had passed. I want to say at least 6 months to a year. And he said, my relationship improved after she stopped watching Love and Hip Hop. And he looked at me like he was sort of shocked that it had that sort of impact on her. But again, it comes back to programming. The American dream was crafted by Hollywood. American culture was created by Hollywood. What? Was
it?
Yes.
Okay, my only thing with that is that the United States is a melting pot, and this talk, I hope I'm gonna try to keep it on track, because it kind of pisses me off when people talk about cultural appropriation in the United States, because I'm like, we're all supposed to be Americans. We all came from other places. Like growing up, like it was okay to share other cultures and nobody cared. But I just feel like, I don't know, was it Hollywood that did that? Because I feel like the United States was just this big, beautiful melting pot of people, and people came here to get a better quality of life because they knew that in the United States we were afforded different freedoms that we were in other countries. And for example, if you're a Jew and you were in Germany or Romania or that part of the world during a specific time, you wanted to get out, you wanted to escape that. Or if you were in, any, God forbid, any of the places that have been hit recently with the terrible stuff that's happened, you want to come to the United States to escape that.
Sure. United States was a capitalist dream. I call it the Las Vegas of the world. It's the world freak show. Almost anything goes here in America. And you know what it is? It came down to the fact that the powers that be created some sort of balance of power. And in that balance of power, they actually created an imbalance. And they made Europe hard to inhabit. Because in creating that, for example, when we talk about World War I and World War II, and how Germany changed, how France changed, how England changed, and how some of these markets crashed. And then America was made to be the financial capital of the world. As we know, the entire world is operating off of the dollar as the reserve currency. We know that financial trading happens on Wall Street in New York City. Okay, so New York became the financial arm for the powers that be. Okay, and where you have wealth, you must also have defense. So that money, much of it went to defense. Italy became the religious arm of the oligarchs, right? Through Catholicism and Christianity, right? So, and then of course you got the Queen of England and the royal family and that situation. And they are part of that oligarch situation. But America became the financial capital of the world, okay? Which made it rich for people of other impoverished nations to come here and get money. That's fine. Now, you can come from another country. For example, let's say you come from Nigeria, right? When a Nigerian comes here with a good culture, and their children go to school and they come home and they mimic the kids at school, the Nigerians nipping that in the bud and say, no, we don't act like that in this house. Where's your respect? Where's your manners, right? It's checked, right? So some people, and I find this prevalent amongst foreign cultures, because American culture, again, was created by Hollywood. This is why you have a society today who has no tradition, who has no proper upbringing. But if you come from China or Japan, you have a certain way, you have a certain decorum about yourself. Even if you come from Mexico, okay, you have a certain decorum of yourself, a certain level of respect. If you come from Jamaica, you do not talk to your parents the same way American kids talk to their parents. If you come from down south, there's a certain hospitality amongst the southern states that you won't find amongst the northern states. There's a certain respect that children have for their parents in the southern states that children in the north don't have in their states. And again, it's that proximity to programming. You see, when you're in the southern states, you spend more time outside. They're riding their dirt bikes, their ATVs, etc., etc. They actually spend more time outside. The BB gun, they're shooting. They actually spend more time in nature, and they don't spend so much time with the programming, which is why they've held the culture and held the tradition amongst the southern states. But the closer you get to the big cities, the more programming you get. Once you have more of this Hollywood programming, what you have is destruction of culture. If we look at the programming, you don't find the values that you are talking about, that you're seeking. You will not find them on Netflix. You won't find them on Hulu. You won't find them in the movies. You just don't find that common decency and respect in there. What you find is quite the opposite. You find disrespect, dishonor, disloyalty. For example, one of my favorite shows was Saved by the Bell. But think about how
he was bad.
That was terrible programming just for people, right? So the cool kid is the white boy with blonde hair. That's the archetype, right? And the geek is the white kid with curly hair and he's very skinny and he's dorky. So it's to say that you can't be cool and smart. It's actually corny to be smart. And this is part of the programming which says, I'd rather be Zach, or I'd rather be Slater and just be a jock. And then what did they do with the Slater category? He was a dumb jock. All he did was, and he was brown, but he was a dumb jock, right? Then you go look at what's her name? Jessie Spano. What was Jessie Spano? She was a raging leftist feminist. That's what she was. She was a raging lefting feminist. So think about that programming that you put into people. You can't be cool.
So it was Saved by the Bell
smart.
that did it.
No, it's just one example.
I'm joking because
I love the show. Like if it came on right now, it's probably sit down and watch.
It's actually on Netflix right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
See, I'd probably take in a few episodes just for the nostalgia, right? But again, this is the type of programming we've been given. We weren't given honorable content that's going to have honor and loyalty. You know, I watch a lot of Japanese stuff, and there's a lot of honor in how they operate in their everyday culture. The bowing, right? How they speak to each other with respect, right? And the only time you really find some sort of disrespect is when there's warring tribes, right? But when I look at that type of programming, it's much different.
So I kind of have a hot topic here. I don't know. Well, I'm going to say it anyways.
Okay.
Do you think, because if you look at a lot of the immigrants, the people that came over here, like way back in, like my family, they were mostly white, mostly European. Do you think that Hollywood programming had something to do with the destruction of white families? And
absolutely.
Well, let me go on. And also, too, because basically what happens when you immigrate to the United States, especially like way back when, like my family, for example, they lived in Brooklyn. They lived in Italian neighborhoods. On the whole entire block, everybody was Italian. Maybe the next block over, it was a different whatever. Okay. But it was like everybody stayed with each other. They married each other. But with the white families, what they did is they started grouping out, like just because you had light skin, they would group you into a group as they would call you white, even though in fact, your culture, where your people came from, or your ancestors came from, wouldn't be classified as white because they had their own culture, their own identity. Correct. And I feel like it's kind of a shame that they're doing that and they're grouping all of us together because they're kind of stripping us of our culture and where we originated from. Correct. And I feel that it's so important to look at a traditional Sicilian household and be like, okay, like, because this traditional Sicilian household in America, the man goes to work, the mom stays home, she cooks, she takes care of the kids. Like it's a very, very, very traditional. And that's the same with a lot of with a lot of European Jewish families too. Same exact dynamic. But there's different cultural aspects of how they discipline their kids when they eat dinner, their religion, like those like how you treat the elders. And I feel like that Hollywood has done a disservice to white families because they're just kind of grouping us all in. They're saying, okay, you're just white. But when in fact, like, yes, the color of our skin is white. But when you really kind of dissect the white family or specific white families, there's a lot of similarities to other cultures or there's differences. And we should, I feel like it's very important to note because if you're grouping all white people together and all white families together and you're saying that they're doing this, they're racist, all these things, you're not really seeing why, like how it got to that or why it got to that point.
So homogeneity breeds groupthink. Homogeneity is the perfect environment for programming. You see, if there are a bunch of different factions with different traditions, you can't infect everybody with your defunct quote unquote culture as easily. But when everybody's all one and everybody is one group and they all think alike, you can spread the message amongst that mass of people much faster. And that's part of this whole thing that liberalism pushes, trying to remove the idea of race, right? Trying to say we are all one. No, we are different. Just like you said, Italians are different from Scottish and Irish are different from English and so on and so forth, right? And those things are wonderful. But when people have these different factions, I got to go speak to the Scottish people and I got to infect the Scottish people. Then I got to infect the English people. Then I got to infect the Nigerian people. Then I got to infect the Jamaican people. It's much harder. But if I can get you all to denounce your traditional culture and say you are under this color, now I can make rules for you based upon just this color. Here's what white people should do. And now you're grouped in with white people. This is what white people should do. This is what black people should do, right? And the funny thing is, a lot of these rules only involve white and black people, right? For example, if you say white power, that's going to be deemed racist and all the, but it's allowable to say black power, right? The funny thing is, Asian people don't have to worry about that. They can run around and say they're proud to be Asian all day. If a black person says they're proud to be black, oftentimes you'll get pushback from white conservatives. Say, oh no, you're an American. Why are you always worried about this race stuff? Meanwhile, an Indian can come and say, I'm proud to be Indian, and everybody claps for the Indian. A Mexican comes and says, I'm Mexican, and everybody claps for he's Mexican. It's only so-called white and black people that they've put these rules upon. And the reason why these rules have been so easily placed upon them is what you were talking about, the homogeneity of it and the infection of Hollywood. You see, the people from India and Mexico, they ain't got time to watch TV. They don't have access to the same media we do. They even look at, like when they come here, they even look at the fact that we have all different pieces of media. Like, wow, you guys got endless media. Where over there, some places the TV shuts off at 1 o'clock, and there's nothing else to watch. So those people have held their traditions, have held their values, have held their culture. So when they come here, they're not infected by the Hollywood propaganda as easily until they become Americanized.
Well, yeah, I mean, another thing too is that a lot of people I know that have came to the United States or just, from their family tree, they mix in with different cultures. And I think that it's a beautiful thing. My only issue with it is the fact that the big people are going to then classify you and put you in a specific group. You're not allowed to say, my mom is Sicilian, my father is German Jew. And you're not allowed to really celebrate those unique differences or those cultural differences. That's why with my daughter, her dad is like pretty much half Mexican. So I call her Mija. We're learning Spanish, doing those types of things. It's very important for me to introduce her father's culture into her life, because to honor her great grandmother who passed away, but just to be proud of where, like, her origins, like of her father and her grandmother and her great her elders. So to me, it's very, very important because my mom did that with us growing up.
Yeah. Super important. Jabari for that super chat. He said, just notice you change your background. HJ looks very professional and gives you a talk news host look. Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. So I'm glad you said that. You affirmed my idea or my intention. James Orenthal Nin said, shout out to Wendy O from Emeritus Angelino. To HJ's point, ethnic cultures draw very clear distinctions of hierarchy and value wisdom of the seasoned. Facts. I love that. I forget which country this is, an Asian country. It might be China, it might be Japan, but before they teach children reading, writing, arithmetic, they teach them values. And when I heard that, I said, okay, this is what we're going to do with the little one. When we teach English and we teach whatever it is that we're teaching, we're going to teach it with values built in. You know what I mean? Right now, they have children's books where they teach about two mommies. So imagine you're learning to read, but you're learning to read, and then they put the two mommies in there to confuse the mind, right?
To me, the only way that would be acceptable is if you are raised in a household with two moms. I don't know, though. I'm not trying to butt into people's business. Let's move on to the next topic. I just, like, in my household, my daughter's too young for that. My daughter, all I want her to do, I want her to learn values. I want her to respect herself. I want her to be proud of herself. I want her to create positive boundaries, to be like, I want to do this, I don't want to do this. This is why I want to do or don't want to do this, and give explanations and absolutely kick ass and with STEM and other things that she's interested in. But I don't, as far as all that other stuff goes, I don't want it. There's no need for it. Last topic. Well, we kind of actually touched on it, but I guess we can talk about it a little bit more because it's very, very specific. What are you, okay, so there's this, so Sean Hannity tweeted this, but it's actually more, it doesn't matter if it's him or not, but Florida says no. DeSantis unveils Stop Woke Act to remove CRT from schools and workplaces. And I believe he's in Florida, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to us what CRT is?
Well, it depends on who you ask, but allegedly it's supposed to be a study of the economics of a particular race, and usually this is the black community in this case, right? And they take a look at the economics of the people and say, how did they become so impoverished, right? At least that's what CRT is supposed to be. CRT is actually, as the liberals will use it and intend to use it, is a mechanism of division. It is designed to create animosity between white and black people, and it is also a tool of disinformation and misinformation. I had a conversation with my elder, Dr. Kaba Kamene, about this topic, and I told him the thing I didn't like about CRT is white people will control their education of black history. And that's the thing that disturbs me most, that the white liberal wants a monopoly over education. They want a monopoly over our history. My people's history will be owned by the white liberal. If it is not owned by the white, well, it'll be owned by the white liberal and then purported and penetrated using black liberals, black socialists, black communists. They will spread it like a disease. Black history is, as white liberals teach it, struggle history. Everything about it is in juxtaposition to white people. When you teach black history, the first thing you think about is slavery and civil rights, right? And both of these things are in juxtaposition to white people. So technically this ain't black history, this is white history. Okay? If you were teaching black history, you wouldn't need to insert white people. You could just tell about the many things that have happened and the many influences that we've had amongst ourselves. Without inserting white people into it. But they don't want to do that. They don't want to talk about the many empires of that existed on the African continent before Europe had its moment of enlightenment. They will never begin to teach that. If you are talking about critical race theory, we understand that black people originate on the continent of Africa. If you want to go further back, all people originate from the continent of Africa. But if we want to say that black people are African American, that means their origins are Africa. So how are you going to teach a history of a people and omit Africa? The reason being is they want us rooted in struggle. When your history is rooted in struggle, you will always have an oppressed mindset. You always have a victim mindset. You will never have an empowered mindset. If you taught history starting from power, the black community will no longer think about what can the Democrats do for me? What can the liberals do for me? And then they would be free. This is the imprisonment of the black mind.
But if they're going to teach critical race theory, shouldn't it be like about all different races?
Sure.
Like, shouldn't they break down like all the different white races that they're grouping together?
I think, and going back to my conversation with Dr. Kaba Kabene, critical race theory is a college course.
Right.
This is a university level course. This isn't something you teach adolescents. Adolescent, you need to teach, again, core values, arithmetic, the entire STEM, right? And the language arts, and then the arts, and then physical education. These are the things that you want to have as the foundation for the youth. Critical race theory is a university course, and as you said, it can and should include all races. Great point.
Well, I mean, because to me, that's what makes sense. Because I mean, obviously, like, Black history is absolutely amazing. There's so many different origins. There's so many great stories, and there's a lot of trauma as well. But at the same time, I feel like it's important to, if you're like, I feel like there's so much different. There's so much diversity just within within Africa itself. It's such a big place. There's so many different. It's big. There's so many different cultures. So just to group all Black people together and be like, well, this is what we're going to teach and this is what happened. But there might have been a place in Africa that was thriving when another place wasn't, like, things like that. But I feel like, because I don't want to like dive into the workforce thing, because that's not what the show's about. But like with the schools, when it comes to the kids, they don't, I feel like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's important to celebrate differences. But at the same time, it's like my daughter doesn't care that her friends look different than her. And she has friends. Right. She has friends from all different, like, she has friends from all different groups, and they all look very, very different. And she sees her friends, she runs, she hugs them, they all hold hands, and they're running down the hallway together. She could care, they all care less if they're whatever. But I feel like if you're introducing it in schools, it's going to cause issues. It's going to cause turmoil and stress and anxiety against other kids, because then you might have kid X feeling guilty about something that happened to kid Y, and it's just going to be a really bizarre, weird thing. And when you think about kids anyways, kids are already kind of emotionally awkward because they're kind of getting their bearings, they're learning who they are, they're deciding all those things. So when you have to introduce race or color or differences when it's not necessarily needed, like, of course there's a time and a place for those types of conversations, but I just don't think that it's relevant for elementary kids, junior high kids, maybe in high school, possibly, I don't know.
No, but university course. It's a university course, especially when you add economics in there, which is supposed to be the main topic of things. And the thing is, when I broke down critical race theory, I broke it down as basically feminine energy, because all they're gonna do is complain about what happened to us and the victim mentality and that situation. But when I broke it down on my channel, I brought it down to what's the gross national product and what's the gross domestic product of the Black community. Let's start there. If you start there, you destroy the entire argument, because then now you have to say, well, what are these people producing? And what is their output? They're not asking that question. What they're asking is, what's stopping these people from having output? But if you first measure the output, you would understand that the whole idea of CRT is what's stopping us. The victim mentality is what's stopping us. The liberal mentality is what's stopping us. Socialism, right? For example, you have a child. Do you always do everything for your child, or at some point do you say, hey, look, you have to figure this out on your own?
Go wipe your ass, I'm not doing it for you.
Okay. The government wipes our ass. So it's just like, you be like, why should I wipe my own ass if the government's going to wipe it for me? Why should I go work to feed my kids when I could fill out some paperwork, get rid of this man, and the government to take care of me, right? So it's socialism that's destroying a lot of these things. I always said, if I was president, I would roll back, I would destroy welfare overnight. I would say, look, welfare checks stop tomorrow. And
they could come for you.
They are going to be very upset. And a lot of families are going to go through it, right? But you know what's going to happen? You know what I believe would happen? People will come together. All of a sudden, the Diddy's and the Beyoncé's and the Oprahs of the world would say, yo, we got this dictator of a president here. People are going through it. We are going to help. They'll be forced to at that point. Because what happens When the poor becomes poorer, they eat the rich. They won't have.
Your face was so excited about that idea.
That's just,
it lit up like the brilliant idea. I saw the light bulb.
these are facts. They're gonna say, yo, like for example, you see out in Cali, they said, yo, we not gonna incarcerate anybody stealing anything other than a certain dollar amount. Now that y'all running around, robbing stores and whatnot, right? Again, socialist policies, right? So remove the training wheels from the black community, and the black community will be able to ride the bike on its own. Remove the crutch from the black community, and the black community will be able to walk. And once it can walk, it can run. And once it can run, it can fly. But it's the socialist programs that were designed. You gotta understand that the black community was doing better statistically as a family pre-civil rights than they are now. Yes.
Oh wow, that's some crazy fact. That's actually a good tweet too. That's a good tweet.
These is pure facts. That's facts.
Crazy.
Thomas Sowell has done this empirical work already. So
wow, that's crazy to think about. I guess when you're feeling pressure, you stay together, you band together as a family.
Got no choice.
And it's important for the woman to be loyal to her husband and the man to be loyal to the wife, and to take care, to ensure the survival of the kids. Because if you can't be a strong unit, then the kids are going to run amok and just not, you're going to see a lot of the stuff that you see today.
Chad Lemoyne, 199 super chat, said kids need to learn skills and how to own themselves. Indeed. That's what's most important.
I agree with that. I wish my daughter and her generation, they can just love on each other and change the world. I know that's very naive. That's very naive thinking for me, but it's what I wish, because it's just so sad seeing all these things happen, all these people divided over such petty, really ridiculous things. I wish people would be able to see past minor differences and also understand compassion. And I feel like because I was live the other last week on my show, and I said, I forget what we were talking about, but I was like, you know what the real problem in America is? The real problem in America isn't a lot of these other issues that we're seeing the media push us, but it is more so a wealth gap that is in the United States. And that wealth gap stems from, if you want to go deep into it, the wealth gap kind of stems from families not being together anymore and not having that support system and not having each other to kind of work with and build something with, because everybody's so concerned with putting food on the table, and they are their own. I don't even want to say food on the table. I feel like it's more self-serving interest. Like, I have to go out and do this, or I need to buy this, or, I'm going to go do this because you did this. Like, there's just no common decency and respect.
Oh, absolutely. Hold on. Let me put this person in timeout. They over here acting stupid in my shit. I believe the wealth gap's a myth.
Do you?
Yeah.
Why?
There's an intellectual gap.
Okay.
Again, this goes back to proximity to information. The other day, we saw a tweet from a girl who said, if you use big words, then you're a white supremacist because black people can't understand you. This is like, one.
That's race. That's really racist.
It's like really racist. Then you also have like the situation where white liberals want to change the way they teach math and lower the score standards, and
math is racist.
And yeah, because
even though math came literally from the Arab countries and probably parts of Africa.
Right. So, that whole situation, when really it just comes down to the fact that they don't know how to teach math. That's just basically in the
United States, they do not. You're 100% correct. I have worked with people from people from India, people from Russia, people from all different places, and they are all, math is like very heavily taught. Like everybody knows how to do math, and they teach it a lot differently than how they teach it here. And it's also in the households, which is important to embrace cultures, regardless, all the mini cultures in these big subgroups. But it's like math is held so highly in other cultures as opposed to the United States.
Yeah, my brother first came to this country. He tested way above his grade level, and I believe he started college credit courses at 16. He was
Oh, wow.
yeah, he was a graduate of NJIT, and super geek math. He right now is a computer programmer. Well, actually, he doesn't even program anymore. He's the VP of his department, so other people program, and he just oversees the projects. But he's from Jamaica, right? Like when he came up in the 70s and 80s, and well, I would say the 70s. Also they had corporal punishment, right? Like you weren't allowed to fail in Jamaica, right? And some of these schools, you get beat with the stick, right? You weren't allowed to get. And also the culture was different. Like my father said when he went to school, and this is probably in the 50s, right? When he's a young boy, when he went to school, if you got a B, everybody laughed at you. They thought you were dumb. So everybody aspired to have all A's. Again, culture, right? The culture in America doesn't covet intellectualism. It just doesn't.
They don't. You just said it earlier because of Hollywood, and you mentioned it was Saved by the Bell. Right. Zach was the attractive kid, which he was very smart. Right. He was very smart. He was smart. Cunning. He just chose. Yeah, he just chose not to do excel in school. Mm-hmm. But they portrayed him as a cool kid that didn't want to do homework, and it was okay. It was funny. It was cool to get D's and F's and C's.
Yeah. So it is what it is.
Well, I'm not allowing that to happen in my household. We'll see, though. Anything you want to leave the audience with before we get going?
Join me tomorrow during my stream where I break down pre-Civil War central banking, which to me looks like insider trading. We're going to get into some Rothbard and some Vera C. Smith and take you down memory lane. That'll be happening at 2 p.m. Eastern time here. And hope that's been told you every Thursday. Make sure y'all get in tune, and shout out to the menoforder.com team. That's our new media outlet, menoforder.com. So make sure y'all go check that out. That's all I got.
Tomorrow I will be live at 12 at noon PT. I have Andrew Gordon. He is a crypto and startup CPA and attorney, and he is going to be answering questions. I'll probably have him on for 15-20 minutes. He is very expensive, and if you have crypto questions or you want to learn more about how this stuff works when it comes to taxes, you probably should listen because you're getting almost a free consultation. So
sweet.
So there's that. That is at 12. It's at noon PT tomorrow.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna try to catch that one.
He's best. He actually was representing McAfee before he passed away.
Oh, wow. Shout out to McAfee, man.
So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to smash the like and share this. Hotep, I will see you next Wednesday.
See you next Wednesday.
Bye.
Oh, wow. Shout out to McAfee, man.
So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to smash the like and share this. Hotep, I will see you next Wednesday.
See you next Wednesday.
Bye.